But I wanted to hear what you guys think about this post that came up on my feed. So now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can definitely look at this screenshot. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, just listen carefully, okay? So there was this lady named Brooke Herndon. Hernandon. I suck at pronouncing people's name, but her name is Brooke, and she went to Islandon Church of God of Prophecy.
What's the name of that church?
I think it's Islandton. Islandton.
Okay.
Islandton. I think you got to say it with an accent.
Is this in America?
It's in South Carolina. So it's in Islandton, South Carolina. 17633 Snyder's Highway, if you want to visit. Okay, so this letter is dated for February 10th, and I'm going to read it out to you and make commentary at the same time, okay? Just to give you guys some context who are listening, there's a check attached to this letter. And you just got to stay tuned to see why. So the church writes to Brooke and they say, "Dear Brooke, this letter is to inform you that it was unanimously decided in our February 9th business conference that your membership in our local church should be terminated. Since you refused to accept the letter that we sent to you in November that outlined the reason for this action, I will briefly review them here." So, Brooke got a letter in November. This is their second attempt, like a debt collector, okay? Second attempt. These are the reasons. They said, "You initiated the separation in your marriage to Josh without good cause, stating that you wanted to begin a relationship with another man. It seems you have no desire to keep your family together, and this has caused a great deal of hurt to you, your husband, your children, and many others. This is being unfaithful to the marriage vow you took before God. 2, you have continued to post many unchristian and even indecent pictures and messages on various social media sites over the past many months. You have also been very negative and critical of many of our church family, I believe, to try and take the attention off of your real needs, which you deny. 3, you have refused counsel or advice from your husband, your pastor, and many of your close church family who really care for you and have tried to help you. Brooke, contrary to what you try to convince us, you are really not in a good place right now, sis." No, they ain't say sis. I'm just adding that, okay? They said, "Brooke, taking this action was not an easy thing for the church to do. There have been many prayers said for you and your family over the past year plus. There was a great deal of sadness in our meeting over having to do this. You and your family have been a very important part of our church for many years, and I know that we will still love each of you very much. We are hoping that God will show you his will in all this, and that you will also desire to do his will. Please let us know if that happens. Sincerely, Pastor Bernie." I don't know how to pronounce his last name. So Pastor Bernie, he said, "Note, this is the PS right here. We've all felt it best to return the tithe check you recently gave to Jeanette." And the check was for $500. Y'all, what do you think? I am curious to know, Carrick, since you got a mic today, what you think about this before I get started? I would want to know.
You start.
No.
You start.
All right, I gotta play Jesus advocate against this. All right, I feel like
what
there's
would
a
Jesus do?
It's not Jesus. It's not what would Jesus do. Here's what I think. This is just me being like a person thinking outside of this letter and thinking of exactly what could possibly be going on in this church. It's a church of God of Prophecy. I've never been to one. I don't know what their standards are. I know Church of God standards because I was under the Church of God for a long time. And a lot of these churches have these stipulations, right? And like you cannot wear earrings, you can't remarry. They like really follow the Old Testament heavily, like no tattoos, none of this stuff. And I would be casted out because I got one. Okay. Can't wear jeans, pants. And so maybe she signed up to a church that really had all of these rules and regulations and she wasn't aware of it. And or maybe she was, and it was just a environment that was not good for her. That's, to me, that's what it, based on a letter, they have a certain level of standards that she just didn't meet the mark. That's how I feel. And let's be honest, in a church, there's some churches that are for you and there's some churches that are absolutely not for you. And I can say that because I grew up in the first part of my life I went to a Jamaican church. Then I transferred for like a couple years to like a Grenadian church, and then I went back to a Jamaican church, and now I would say I'm at like a non-denominational, all-inclusive type church. And what I could say from like the culture of the Caribbean church is that they have a certain way that they want you to behave. Like it's not really written on the wall. Like when you walk in, like there's a rule, like you can't do this, you can't do that, yeah. But there's a certain way that they expect you to behave, and you only know that you're not behaving that way when you're actually getting ridiculed and in trouble. For example, I remember there was a time, I guess they were having like prayer meeting, like 3 nights of prayer meeting. I decided to take up myself and go to the movies. I received a call from a person at the top saying, you can't go to the movies on the nights we have prayer. Now, me as a woman who only answered to my mom and my father, I was actually pretty much confused. I was like, you should be at home praying because it's prayer time. But in my head, I'm like, that don't make no sense.
Was this prayer meeting in person or online?
This prayer meeting was in person. Here's the issue, though. We had a break. So say it was 4 nights of meetings. There were 2 days. Then on the Wednesday, we had a break. I went to the movies on the break. The upper person called me and told me that I couldn't be at the movies on the break. I should be at home praying.
Wait, all right.
And here's
wait.
Okay.
How did this person know you was at the movie?
How did he know?
Yeah.
There was a leak.
And in the friend group,
there was a leak, and it's because I went with 2 of the church brethren. It wasn't like a boyfriend or anything. These like people I consider my friends, and I guess like some other person came, like other people
all right,
came.
Quick question: when did this call come through? When did this call come through? Before the movie, in the middle of the movie, or after the movie?
Next day.
Or the next day.
It was like a next day vibe. Like, oh, you shouldn't be out there. You should be praying for the church. Really? I don't think like the world will stop if I attend the movies. And so I started to see like a certain culture that I was just not accustomed to. Respectfully, Jamaica's Jamaican, America's America. Like certain things, I guess, flying Jamaica, now that I'm married to you, Carrot, I see that there's like a vibe in Jamaica where people know when you're going up the road, down the road, to the left. So they feel like they kind of have a level of control over you. This is America, baby. And so worse off is New York. You know what I mean? So you can't really try to keep tabs on people. You just have to trust that they're doing the right thing. And if I'm a person who asks my parent to go to the movies, why am I now being confused about who's the parent? If I ask my parent and you tell me yes, unless it's like, Here's where I would have had a problem with. Now, if I brought all these brethren from church to the club, you get what I'm saying? Now you could be mad at me because now I'm recruiting people to start a mini church in your church. So that's something I don't agree with. Like if you're going to be a sinner, sin by yourself. Don't try to recruit the rest of the church people with you. But I personally didn't see nothing wrong with going to the movies. So what I'm saying to you is that there's a culture that is associated sometimes with these Caribbean churches who still believe in moving that way. And maybe because I was a person that didn't know, it's probably just like Brooke, and this is just me thinking outside of the box, maybe she didn't know. Maybe the Church of God of Prophecy, I'm not saying allegedly or anything, I'm just saying maybe there's a certain culture there where you have to remain married, and if you refuse counsel, then X, Y, and Z will happen. Do you think we need a church handbook or something? Because I feel like a lot of people are coming out with these stories, and they're saying like it will produce church hurt. And I put quotes on church hurt because personally, don't slap me for this. I don't really believe in a church hurt
Anymore.
anymore. I used to be a strong advocate, like church hurt. It's so real. But then I realized we don't call work hurt work hurt. We just call it like my boss hurt my feelings. We don't call grocery store hurt like grocery store hurt. You know what I mean? But why we call church hurt church hurt? I just think church hurt is like someone hurt your feelings, but to blame it on a whole entity, where it's like turning away actual people from coming into the house of the Lord because there's this stigma on church that you get hurt here. Like you actually could get hurt anywhere.
It's not church hurt. You missing it.
What is it?
Burnout.
No, but even church hurt too.
Yeah, they do
church, they do it for church hurt. We don't say grocery hurt, store hurt. You just got hurt at the grocery store. So don't, like, church hurt is a thing. Like, I believe spiritual manipulation is a thing. I mean, it happened to me. I believe, not listening to authority in a church and being ridiculed for it. It's very much a thing. But to say church hurt, I feel like the enemy has twisted it in a way for us to accept it as that, when in reality, it's just like you got hurt. And being close to humans, you will get hurt. Like, it's inevitable. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to be very careful with how we word things. Like, this person hurt my feelings, not the whole body of the church.